Slenderman, the creepypasta that terrified a generation, would also go on to be the inspiration for a crime that would shock a nation. Parents, beware. How's it going, everyone? Rodriguez here, and welcome to the Moonlit Hour. Tonight we are taking a look into the insane story of Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weier and their plans to sacrifice their friend Peyton Lautner to the all-creepy Slenderman so as to join him in his mansion. Yeah, you heard that right. This is a case that hits the heart of a generation that is constantly connecting to the internet and the horrors that come with it. It was such a crazy story that it even inspired an episode of Law & Order SVU. That's how you know your crime is so out there that it inspires a whole SVU episode. It's just crazy. Now, there are plenty of debates that come from a shocking event such as this, but we're going to get into that here in just a little bit. In order to have a better understanding of just what kind of terror we're dealing with, let's go ahead and get a little history of this Slenderman character. Originating as a creepypasta character in 2009 by Eric Knudsen on the forum Something Awful, Slenderman is known for stalking, abducting, and terrifying his victims, particularly children. He is described as an extremely tall, thin man with equally long arms like tentacles that can be extended to capture his prey. He is often seen as having a white, expressionless face and wearing a black suit and tie. Sightings of Slenderman are often in forests, wooded areas, and abandoned locations. He's basically every parent's worst nightmare. Still, as terrifying as Slenderman may be, this story spread like wildfire and created a following of obsessed fans. And it's here where our story begins. Now, back in the fall of 2013, Anissa, Morgan, and Peyton began attending Horning Middle School. Anissa and Morgan weren't exactly the social bunch, but were close to Peyton. It was also around this time when Anissa and Morgan discovered the story of Slenderman. They both became obsessed with the character, believing that he was real, and Morgan even believed to have telepathic conversations with Slenderman. Now, at this point, Morgan decided that Peyton had to be killed as a sacrifice to gain access to the Slenderman mansion, so that they could be with him at his side. Morgan told Anissa about this plan, and based on their testimonials, while Morgan had the idea, Anissa was the one who insisted that this sacrifice had to happen. So on May 30th, 2014, the three amigos would gather to celebrate Morgan's 12th birthday. It was a fun Friday night at the local roller skating rink with the sleepover happening at Morgan's house. The three woke up the next morning, had some fun like kids do, ate some breakfast, and decided it was time to go outside and play. Anissa, Morgan, and Peyton headed out to David's Park near Waukesha, Wisconsin. I dare you to try saying Waukesha 3 times fast. Now, as Peyton walked ahead, Morgan showed Anissa the knife that would be used to carry out the plan, which she retrieved from her kitchen. After beginning a game of hide and seek, Anissa and Morgan would pin down Peyton and proceed to stab her 19 times in the arms, legs, and torso with the 5-inch blade. Stabs and cuts were made to her heart, liver, stomach, and pancreas. Anissa and Morgan then told Peyton to lie down and they would go to get help. The lie detector determined that was a lie. Peyton, with all these stab wounds and covered in her own blood, said nope. She got that fight in her and drags herself to a nearby road where she was found by a cyclist who stopped and called for help. Now, 5 hours after they carried out this heinous crime, Anissa and Morgan were apprehended by police as they were wandering the interstate. They were on their way to Slenderman's mansion in the Nicolet National Forest. In a bag the two were carrying, police found the knife that was used in the attack. The police took Anissa and Morgan in for questioning, and during this time it is said that Morgan showed no empathy whatsoever for the attack. Now, Anissa, on the other hand, expressed her guilt for the stabbing, but regardless of emotions, they both stated that the attack was necessary to appease Slenderman. Now, by this point, y'all can definitely tell that there's obviously something wrong here with the state of mind of these two Slenderman enthusiasts, particularly with Morgan, who after going through psychiatric evaluation was found to have visual and auditory hallucinations beginning in early childhood. Now, these hallucinations varied in form, and Morgan was even frequently found conversing with herself. On October 22nd, 2014, Morgan was diagnosed with early onset childhood schizophrenia. During trial, she was committed to Winnebago Mental Health Institute, where she became the youngest patient. In March 2015, the judge assigned to the case decided that despite being so young, these two little ladies would be tried in adult court. Which leads us to the insane outcome for the fates of Morgan and Anissa. Morgan was charged with attempted first-degree homicide and would go on to plead not guilty by reason of insanity. However, after reaching a deal, Morgan would plead guilty. The stipulations of the deal were that Morgan would not be held criminally liable and would continue mental health treatment. In 2018, the judge would order the maximum of 40 years for Morgan at Winnebago Mental Health Institute. She would go on to petition for release 4 times, and in 2024, it was found that Morgan was no longer a risk and was released. Morgan, now 22, lives in a group home, is under supervision, and has begun transitioning as a transgender male. Morgan's new name has not been shared with the public in order to protect his identity. Anissa, who was also charged with attempted first-degree homicide, would plead not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect. However, she would go on to plead guilty to the lesser charge of attempted second-degree homicide. In 2017, the jury would find Anissa not guilty by mental disease and was committed to 25 years at Winnebago. Now, in July 2021, the judge ruled that Anissa was no longer a safety risk and granted her release on the conditions that she live with her father under around-the-clock GPS monitoring and the supervision of her case managers until age 37. In September of 2023, the GPS stipulation would be removed, allowing Anissa to begin her new life. Man, this story has so much going on, but there is a happy ending. Now, it took the surgeons 6 hours to repair all the critical damage that had been done to Peyton. 6 hours. Now, despite the traumatizing attempt on her life, Peyton would go on to survive her attacker's evil plan, but at a cost. She would go on to reveal that she was so traumatized that she would sleep with broken scissors under her pillow for protection. Peyton would go on to state in an interview that her body was in shock, so she felt nothing when it came time to get up and reach the road, where she laid in the grass until help came along. She wishes to never see Anissa or Morgan ever again, which, I mean, who could blame her? And since then, Peyton has gone on to graduate high school and has expressed interest in pursuing a career in the medical field. Wow, this is just one wild story that's hard to believe actually happened, but it does hit hard. Because not only was this a horrific crime, but the villains in this story are 2 12-year-olds, little kids. I mean, how does it come to this? Now, some would debate the age-old argument that horror in any format creates criminal behavior. Others will debate that horror doesn't create criminals, but rather mental health is the real villain behind it all. Now, we can argue whether mental health issues are created or inherited, but regardless, this story does present an issue that many people try to spread awareness on. And that's that parents should always be aware of and monitor what their children are watching or accessing online. No matter what you believe in, we can all agree that the internet is home to many terrifying things. So what are y'all's thoughts on this whole situation? Let me know how y'all feel in the comments, but let's keep it a respectable conversation since this does involve children at the time. Let's also get some W's in the comments for Peyton staying strong through this whole ordeal, all the pain, and just coming out victorious. And of course, W's for the cyclists that happened to be going by at that particular time. Well, that's going to wrap it up for tonight's video. If you guys enjoyed it, then please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon to stay up to date on all future content. If y'all have any ideas for future videos, then leave them down in the comments. I will definitely be taking a look at them. But thank you guys for joining me during the Moonlit Hour. My name is Rodriguez, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Take care.